Have you ever felt the need to explain yourself, even when you knew it wouldn't change a thing? Do you ever wonder if responding to rumors just gives them more fuel to spread? What if the strongest move isn't reacting but rising above? If you're tired of being misunderstood, if you're done trying to prove yourself to people who don't want the truth, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a powerful Stoic mindset that flips the script on gossip, lies, and false narratives. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. If you're committed to mastering your mindset and building unshakable character, this is your space. Let's explore how to walk through the noise with clarity, calm, and confidence. 1. Don't feed the flames of gossip. One of the greatest traps people fall into is the urge to defend themselves against every whisper, every rumor, every distortion of the truth. It's a natural impulse. Someone says something untrue, and your instinct is to rush in, set the record straight, and clear your name. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you try to correct a lie, the more attention you give it. The more you try to fix people's perception, the more power you hand over to those very perceptions. Rumors thrive on attention. Gossip grows when it's fed. Every time you respond, argue, explain, or plead your case, you breathe life into something that was already empty. You turn baseless words into a story. You confirm to the audience, especially those who are undecided, that there might be something worth defending. And that illusion is all gossip needs to survive. This is why the Stoic mindset is so powerful. The Stoic doesn't run after every lie because they understand the deeper cost: peace of mind, energy, and direction. When you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, you're living reactively. You're letting the noise outside you dictate the peace inside you. And that is a life of emotional slavery, not freedom. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean you become passive. This doesn't mean you let people walk over you or accept false narratives as truth. What it means is that you respond with discipline and strategy, not emotion. Instead of engaging in drama, you double down on your mission. Instead of defending your name, you live in a way that defends itself. Think about the most grounded, respected individuals you admire. Leaders, visionaries, thinkers. Do you see them scrambling on social media or in their communities, arguing with every critic, clapping back at every petty comment? Of course not. Why? Because their life speaks for itself. Their track record is louder than their words, and that's what you need to aim for. Your credibility doesn't come from how loud you shout. It comes from how consistently you show up. Quiet confidence is one of the most powerful tools a person can develop. When you stay calm while others stir chaos, you become magnetic. When you stay focused while others gossip, you stand out. And, over time, the people who matter, the ones with discernment, notice. It takes real strength to not respond. It takes discipline to walk away when everything in you wants to scream back. But that strength is what separates you from the crowd. That discipline is what builds a life of quiet dominance. And over time, your silence becomes your power. There's also a psychological component at play. When people see you unaffected by lies, it creates a shift in perception. They begin to wonder why you're so calm. They question the rumors themselves. In contrast, if you react emotionally or go out of your way to clear things up, it can come across as guilt or insecurity, even if you're innocent. Silence, when rooted in inner stability, communicates certainty. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to anyone. And this doesn't just apply to public rumors or gossip from acquaintances. This applies to family drama, workplace tension, or even online criticism. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth your involvement. The Stoic Way is to conserve your energy for what matters most. your purpose, your vision, your values. So the next time you hear something about yourself that isn't true, pause. Ask yourself, does this truly deserve a response? Or is my silence the stronger statement? Because here's the truth. You don't need to put out every fire. Some fires die from a lack of oxygen. Let gossip burn out in the emptiness of your indifference, while you move forward with clarity, power, and unshakable direction. 2. Turn malice into a mirror. Gossip is often fueled by jealousy, insecurity, and misunderstanding. It comes dressed in malice, carrying just enough distortion to feel like a personal attack. But what if, buried beneath the bitterness, there was something hidden, something useful, something true? This is where many people either miss an opportunity or reinforce their ego. The ego says, they're just hating. Nothing they said is valid. But wisdom, the voice of inner growth, asks a different question. Is there anything I can learn from this? This doesn't mean you accept slander. It doesn't mean you allow other people's toxicity to define your identity. What it does mean is that you have the maturity to extract value from even the worst intentions. It means you've reached a level of emotional discipline where you can turn criticism, even if unfair, into a tool for refinement. Sometimes people talk behind your back, not because you're wrong, but because you're rising. You're doing something they can't understand, or worse, something they wish they had the courage to do themselves. But still, occasionally, even a cruel comment holds a sliver of truth. A harsh rumor may exaggerate a real flaw. A gossiping voice may highlight an area of your life you've ignored. And this is where the Stoic mindset becomes transformative. The Stoic doesn't react blindly to insult. He doesn't rage against criticism or hide behind pride. Instead, he quietly asks, is there anything in what they said that I can use to become better? If the answer is yes, use it. If the answer is no, discard it and move on. This is the art of turning malice into a mirror. You don't let it define you, but you allow it to reflect back anything real. Think of it like sifting through dirt to find gold. Most of it will be worthless noise, but occasionally you'll find something that makes you pause. A tone that came off too harsh, a habit you didn't realize was affecting others, or a pattern you've unconsciously repeated. Those discoveries are not weaknesses, they're wins. They are moments of rare self-awareness that you would have missed without the pressure of criticism. This is how high-level thinkers grow. They mine their enemies for feedback. They take what's useful even from those who intend harm and use it to sharpen their edge. Imagine that kind of power, the ability to stay calm in the face of disrespect and say, thank you for the insight. Not out loud, not in arrogance, but internally. You turn the emotional poison into fuel. You reframe the insult into instruction. That's a different level of maturity. That's where growth gets real. Of course, not every rumor or comment deserves that level of introspection. Much of what people say is projection, plain and simple. They attack you because they can't handle their own reflection. But again, you're not looking for fairness. You're looking for leverage. You're looking for one small piece of data that you can turn into self-improvement. This mindset doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you accept everyone's opinion. On the contrary, it makes you resilient, because the person who can evolve even from insult is unstoppable. You become anti-fragile. You don't just withstand gossip, you benefit from it. And here's the irony. When you grow from what was meant to tear you down, the people who started the rumors lose their power. They become irrelevant. Because while they were talking, you were transforming. While they focused on your past, you were building your future. That's the Stoic victory, rising quietly while others try to pull you down. So the next time you hear something ugly being said about you, pause. Don't react, reflect. Ask yourself honestly, is there something here I haven't looked at? Something uncomfortable but useful? If there is, be grateful. You've just been handed a mirror. And in the hands of a self-aware person, a mirror is not a weapon, it's a tool. Use it, grow from it, and then let it go. 3. Guard the only thing you control. There is a simple but life-changing realization at the heart of Stoic philosophy. You are only in control of yourself, your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. Everything else is outside your command. This includes the opinions of others. It includes how people interpret your behavior. It includes how they choose to frame your story, whether they paint you as the hero or the villain. And the moment you truly grasp this, something extraordinary happens. You reclaim your power. See, most of the suffering we experience in the face of gossip, slander, or misinterpretation isn't caused by the words themselves, but by our desire to control how others see us. We want people to understand. We want to be seen in the right light. We want fairness. But the world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on perception, and perception is subjective. You can't manage everyone's thoughts. You can't engineer how people process your actions. And chasing that impossible task only drains your energy, peace, and presence. So what can you control? Your integrity, your values, your reaction, your focus. This is where true power begins. The Stoic path teaches us to pour all our energy inward toward the only domain we truly rule. You don't control what they say, but you control whether you respond with grace or with anger. You don't control how they twist your words, but you control whether you stay rooted in purpose or get dragged into drama. When you understand this, you stop wasting your energy in a losing battle. You begin building something that no lie, no rumor, and no misinterpretation can shake: your internal stability. Imagine a storm outside your window. The wind howls, the trees bend, the rain lashes against the glass. That's the world, the noise, the chaos, the gossip. But inside your home, it's quiet, warm, peaceful. You're calm because you're not outside chasing the wind. You're inside, tending to your fire. That's how your mindset should be. The outside world may spin its tales, but inside, you remain centered. The only circle worth focusing on is your circle of control. The rest is distraction. The Stoics called this practice dichotomy of control, understanding clearly what's yours and what isn't. And they were right. The moment you stop trying to fix the uncontrollable, you create space for clarity. You stop being reactive. You start becoming deliberate. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop trying to control everything around you, you actually begin to influence it more. Why? Because people notice someone who remains calm under pressure. They're drawn to someone who doesn't panic, who doesn't explain themselves to everyone, who stays focused when others spiral. That kind of composure builds credibility. It builds trust. It builds quiet strength. This is why the Stoic doesn't panic when misunderstood. They double down on living with character. They focus on being, not on defending. And over time, their consistency becomes louder than any explanation. So, ask yourself, where are you wasting emotional energy trying to control what you can't? Are you obsessing over how someone interpreted your message? Are you constantly trying to manage other people's narratives? Are you sacrificing your peace just to feel understood? If so, it's time to shift your gaze inward. That's where your real power lies. Work on your craft. Show up with discipline. Keep your word. Be kind, but firm. And above all, let your life speak for itself. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to understand yourself and live in alignment with that truth. The world may spin its stories. Let it. You've got better things to build, starting with a life rooted in what only you control. 4. Misunderstood. That's okay. Here's a hard truth to sit with. No matter how honest, well-intentioned, or clear you are, some people will still misunderstand you. Not because you're unclear, not because you're wrong, but because they've already decided who you are in their mind. And the more you try to explain yourself to them, the deeper the misunderstanding becomes. That's the trap most people fall into. They think, if I just clarify my side, they'll get it. So they explain, and explain again, and again. But the reality is, some people don't want to understand. They've already built a version of you in their minds that fits their narrative. And accepting the real you would require them to let go of their assumptions. That's a level of growth they're not ready for. Your peace cannot depend on being understood. Let that sink in. Because the moment your peace depends on someone else's approval or comprehension, you've surrendered your freedom. You've handed over your emotional well-being to someone else's perception. A perception that you cannot and never will fully control. One of the most powerful things you can do for your self-growth is to become okay with being misunderstood. Not in a careless or arrogant way, but in a deeply grounded, mature way. A way that says, I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I don't need every person to get me for me to keep going. This is where Stoicism shines. The Stoic doesn't seek validation. He doesn't chase agreement. He lives in alignment with his principles and purpose, not popularity. And that's what makes him unshakable. He understands that some people will always misread him, and that's not his burden to carry. Let's face it. We live in a time where people make snap judgments. They take one sentence out of context, one mistake from your past, or one version of a story, and treat it as the entire truth. They don't ask questions. They don't seek clarity. They form conclusions, and then hold you accountable to the version of you they've invented. So what do? You stop performing for the crowd. You stop trying to adjust your essence to please every perspective. You stop diluting your truth for the comfort of others. Instead, you start focusing on alignment, not explanation. Alignment with your values. Alignment with your mission. Alignment with your truth. You stop over-explaining. You stop defending, and you start embodying. Because the most powerful rebuttal to misunderstanding is not more words, it's a life lived with integrity. It's the long game. It's consistency over time. It's living in such a way that no rumor can survive the weight of your reality. But this doesn't mean the journey is easy. It can feel lonely at times. It can be frustrating to know you've been misrepresented and yet choose not to correct every voice. That restraint takes strength. That stillness requires emotional maturity. But it's in that space between reaction and response that your power is forged. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every accusation deserves a response. Some things are better left to time, truth, and observation. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to live a meaningful, purposeful life. And sometimes, that path will make you a mystery to people who are still trapped in superficiality. That's okay. Let them misunderstand. Let them speculate. Let them talk. You stay aligned. You stay grounded. You stay you. Because the more you try to be understood by everyone, the more you lose the parts of yourself that matter most. And ironically, it's when you stop trying to prove yourself, when you finally let go of the need to be liked, that the right people start to see you clearly. So embrace it. Being misunderstood is not a weakness. It's a sign that you're walking your own path, and the only approval that truly matters is the one that comes from within. 5. Let time prove the truth. In a world obsessed with instant reactions, immediate responses, and public statements, silence can seem like weakness. But in truth, silence, when grounded in self-awareness and discipline, is one of the most powerful responses you can offer. Especially when you're being misrepresented, judged unfairly, or attacked by rumors. Why? Because time is the ultimate truth teller. You can shout to defend yourself. You can craft the perfect explanation. You can even confront your critics. And maybe, just maybe, you'll convince a few. But most of the time, the people who believed the lie weren't looking for the truth in the first place. They wanted drama. They wanted scandal. And when you engage them, you're playing on their turf. But when you remain consistent, when you let your actions speak louder than your defense, you shift the entire dynamic. You take the long path, yes, but the high one. And that path always leads to something more durable than momentary approval: respect. Here's the Stoic truth. You don't dismantle lies with noise, you dismantle them with time and character. Over time, lies begin to rot. The excitement around a rumor fades. The people who believed it move on to new gossip. But your behavior, your values, your legacy, that stays. Your quiet consistency will outlive every loud accusation. Think of it like this. Lies are like paper castles. They might look convincing from a distance, but the slightest rain begins to destroy them. Time is that rain, and your character is the stormproof foundation beneath everything you do. Yes, it's hard to wait for the truth to come out. It's hard to bite your tongue when you know you're being misrepresented. It's hard not to jump in and scream, "That's not who I am." But growth comes in restraint. Wisdom lives in that space between what you're tempted to do and what you should do. And the Stoic knows character is a slow reveal. It's not built in speeches or grand gestures. It's forged in 1,000 quiet choices. It's in how you show up on your worst day. It's in how you treat others when no one is watching. It's in how you refuse to retaliate, even when it would feel good in the moment. You don't need to argue when your life is your testimony. The most powerful people in the world aren't the ones who defend themselves the loudest. They're the ones who keep showing up, keep leading, keep creating, keep living in alignment, while the noise around them fades into irrelevance. Because here's the secret. People forget what they heard, but they remember what they see. Let them talk. Let them speculate. You stay focused. You stay disciplined. You stay building. That's how the truth wins. Think about the long term. What do you want people to say about you in 5 years? In 10? That you argued back? That you explained yourself? Or that you stayed consistent, kept your head down, and let your integrity shine so bright that eventually even the critics had to respect it? Time reveals all. Lies unravel. The truth emerges always. Let them gossip. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. You've got work to do. Because here's what happens over time. People who believe the lie start to wonder why you never reacted. People who doubted you begin to notice your consistent strength. People who talked about you grow quiet while you grow louder through results, not responses. Time becomes your ally. Character becomes your armor. And peace becomes your reward. So next time you're tempted to respond, to defend, to set the record straight, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year, or will my actions make this irrelevant? Most times, the best answer is this: let time do what arguments can't. Live so well that no lie can live long. In the end, it's not about fighting back. It's about building forward. You don't owe the world your explanations. What you owe is a life of integrity, peace, and purpose. When you commit to rising above the noise, when you choose clarity over chaos, grace over gossip, and mission over misunderstanding, something shifts. You become untouchable, not because rumors stop, but because they no longer matter. So ask yourself, are you living for approval or for purpose? Are you reacting to noise or building something real? The Stoic doesn't chase rumors. The Stoic lives in a way that renders them irrelevant. Now it's your turn. Live loud through your silence. Let your actions become your legacy. If this resonated with you, subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and remember, you don't have to explain greatness. You just have to embody it.